we return to the ruined kingdom of Asmodia. The land devastated from the Deep One's release from the Shadow Veil. A new identity given to the former soul of Levin, Asmodeus, Lord of all Shadow. With him and his Shadow Lords ready to claim Io for their people, the very beginnings of the war happens here. It is at this point we see that each of his Shadow Lords teleport all across Io, begin their assault. As he stands upon his throne of death, first of many, you'll see Asmodeus look up into the sky. The restless spirits of Asmodeus' civilizations and citizens spiral into the sky, tormented by an endless suffering, with no release in sight. At this point, we witness a surge of powerful conjuration magic that manifests itself in front of Asmodeus. A sign of teleportation. With Asmodeus standing tall, even his face shows a moment of alarm. As from the mists of magic steps forth a face he can recall with clarity, even if it had been twisted by Auroran experimentation. The face of the most successful of the 8. Lagos, emissary of the end, steps forward. Asmodeus gazes upon his former brethren, silent and waiting. I had to see it for myself, Lagos growls under his breath, hatred held within. I had to see the fate of the great Levin, the proud Astari who can do no wrong. A grin forms upon Lagos' face. No, a twisted abomination of shadow. Asmodeus remains quiet, staring upon Lagos. Lagos laughs. I had to see it for myself. Oh, how the mighty have fallen and become damned. Asmodeus remains silent. What? No condemnation? No final lesson for your forgotten son? Pious as ever, the great Levin, keeper of divinity, and here to bring forth damnation to this husk of our former home.
I have seen your efforts.
Asmodeus judges.
Your efforts to destroy our ancestral lands. There is no need, Lagos. We shall reclaim.
What? Who? We? Our people? Our people perished long ago. You made sure of that. Our land? Terraformed by our enemies and easily given. For all that you wanted. Our people fell by your hands, Lagos.
A constant reminder in the sky above, as an ancient heretical god hovers over our lands. A constant reminder of your sin.
Lagos holds an angered chuckle. His expression becomes filled with malcontent. Our enemies were at the front door, those Auroran invaders. And instead of continuing the fight, you were ready to simply allow them in, to make peace with our enemies. Asmodeus responds,
It was that or face total annihilation, which you assured.
Our very people were going to face annihilation by those savages. You weren't aboard those ships. You didn't witness the experimentations, the cloning that was done to him, to me. They perfected it in Astari, and I am a sign of their final works. And they donned on me one of their uniforms, gave me a commission, believing they had created the perfect soldier. One that could be an emissary to you. They captured your son, Father, and you just let them. For what? For the good of our people? They tortured me relentlessly so that I could be the final byproduct. And our brothers, the other Lagos, were just cast aside. Failed experiments to be used for further study. And you were just going to give your people up. Where was your compassion, Father? Why didn't you save me? Silence falls over the Asmodean ruins. Asmodeus responds,
Selfish to think that one life mattered over so many of our people. I've mourned your death, Lagos. You were gone, sentenced to your fate. I warned you to stay upon our lands, but you decided to defy the will of your people and fight for your own selfish needs.
Fight invaders, Father. Invaders who looked down upon our culture, our magics that looked at us and our planet as another resource to feed the Auroran machine. The desperation of these people. They needed to be destroyed. Hell's their entire civilization was wiped out by their own hubris. And they were going to do it again. I saw what they had planned for you. If peace was ever achieved, you and all of your people would have been subjugated, just as I was. And you were so blind by your position. An emissary of divinity, always the greater purpose. Your people would have suffered and sought death, Father. Asmodeus stares at Lagos in stoic silence as Lagos continues. If you are a blind and pious fool, I can almost dismiss your claims of leaving me for the greater good, for our people, for the exchange of more life. But I witnessed your sins, Father. I observed your astral form and his misdeeds. Your astral form, Levin, sacrificing himself for one boy. And what? Why was that? I thought deep and meditated on it, since when was one life greater than so many to the pious Levin? I should have been elated. This lapse of judgment would have allowed Cosmicara to tear through the astral without Levin's interference and destroy Io immediately. My victory at hand, but I couldn't help but ask, why? Why? Why would the Keeper of Divinity simply toss aside so much life for one boy? And then I saw it. I saw her, and it made so much sense. Those that killed Cosmicara have defeated and destroyed my simulacrum, They are the keepers of the memories, fragmented of Astari, who have gained a heightened power. And the one you saved, you sacrificed everything for. He had her memory, didn't he? Asmodeus, for a brief moment, looks alarmed. As Lagos bursts out in laughter before tears swell in his eyes. He did! Didn't he? He had the memory of Cherim, your beloved daughter, the one you truly cared for between us, didn't he? Didn't he? Asmodeus meditates quietly, staring forward.
I wouldn't know of my astral counterpart's motives.
But it lines up, doesn't it? You cared so much for her, more so than you did for me. The disgrace of the tribe, the one who cannot pass on his memory, the one who cannot be the keeper of divinity. You were always ashamed of me, Father. I cannot cast a simple spell, and our people spoke such vile things about me. Else, I even sent the inevitable your way. Surely, I admit, to function as a spy or a catalyst, but emotionally, I hoped you would have seen me within my own torture device. You all alone in those astral archives. Maybe you would have recognized your own family within its bowels. Maybe even attempt to save him. To save me. You didn't. You simply sealed him away and researched a way to use him. I think you knew it was me in there. And you simply didn't care. Asmodeus interrupts.
I did not hate you, Lagos.
Of course you did not hate me. You old fool. That would have been easier for you to hate me, to cast me aside as a disgrace of your bloodline. No, that would have been too simple. You couldn't help but to feel for me. I am your flesh and blood. He was your flesh and blood. Silence falls over the Asmodean ruins. Lagos looks down, his eyes closed. You were indifferent to me. You couldn't help. You couldn't help how you feel. So you were always indifferent. My fate didn't matter to you. My choices were my own. It was so easy to dismiss my capture because you could easily place the blame upon me. A loss of life or a great war. And then you could go on living for yourself. For your daughter. For your pride. Such a shame. She's not here now. A grin falls upon his face as he looks back up. But I'm here. We're all here. Asmodeus stoically stares in silence. Lagos sighs. I don't even recognize you. This wasn't nearly as satisfying as I thought it would be. Very well, Father. What do you hope to accomplish here? You've been released from your shadowy imprisonment, broken the bonds of Cosmothara, and are upon these lands once again. What now? Satisfy the curiosity of your fallen son. Asmodeus stares forward.
I shall reclaim our land for our starry brethren. Even if the shadow has transformed us, these lands are ours. We shall continue to live on our planet, twisted we may be. The torture of the Shadow Veil was undeserved. We shall find relief here.
Lagos nods, exaggerately. Yes, and, what of everyone else on this planet? The, byproduct of the Auroran creation. What of them? Asmodeus looks directly towards Lagos.
I do not believe the sins of the father should be passed on to their children. They will be given a choice.
Lagos smirks. How generous. And, that would be? Asmodeus emotionlessly responds.
Stand aside. You may live with us, but this is our planet. If you wish not, then leave. Defy us, and perish swiftly.
Lagos' smirk fades. There it is. A demand for obedience. Allow the invasion to happen for the good of all. You know, even though your soul is a twisted amalgamation of your former self, the message is still the same. Allow the invaders through, peacefully. Surrender. All will be well. Change is certain, but by doing so, you will live. Asmodeus remains silent. Lagos smirks again, staring up. You know, as one who has a history of disobeying your will, let me let you on a little secret. You're going to have to fight. Your offering is neither generous nor is it merciful. You're asking those who have experienced the freedoms of life to submit to an order that cannot nor will not be fulfilled. Lagos looks down, closing his eyes. I've been fighting them for a while, and while I hate them with every fiber of my being, I cannot help but find an inkling of respect, one that you would have for a fellow warrior on the battlefield. You see, even against what is perceived as impossible odds, they fight. They don't go belly up. They fight with every ounce of strength they have, and have emerged victorious a frustrating amount of times. And even though they, too, experience loss, they don't stop. They press on. They fight for their freedoms, for their lives, for their very future. Lagos looks back at Asmodeus. You don't offer that path, so they will fight you to their last breath. Asmodeus responds,
If that is their choice, so be it. I understand why, but this is our planet. They've been here for a fragment of the Astari civilization. If they won't submit to the true civilization, then they will perish. A loss of life is tragic, but it will be by their own choice.
Lagos chuckles. Pious as ever, and the response expected. It would be so reminiscent of a more peaceful time to dwell on if it wasn't so sad right now. Lagos' face returns neutral, looking towards Asmodeus again. I'm leaving here, Father. I wanted you to know, not because this clone, as he motions to himself, deems it, but because I have wonderful news. I have received a message from him, the original. Asmodeus' eyes widen slightly as Lagos smirks. Your son is still alive. And the other simulacrum has some ideas of where he is. And since you're so committed to destroying this world all on your own, I shall allow you to do so while I go on a little pilgrimage to visit the, I suppose you would call it the Auroran ancestral land. No worries, he says, motioning up to the sky. Your reminder will also be leaving as well. But we will be back, clean up the remnants of this foolish war you wish to start, give you a proper burial. I suppose I cannot help how I feel about you. Asmodeus stares forward with a simple response.
Safe travels, son.
Lagos' face sours before he looks forward. An expression of contempt. Happy hunting, father. And with that, Lagos teleports away as Asmodeus prepares for the battle ahead. All right. And that ends today's lore session of phase 2 of IO. What you guys think? What'd you guys think? Oh my god. Thick as hell. Good, I'm glad. I wasn't expecting really any kind of turnout, so I'm really glad you guys appreciate. Yep. Did that answer some questions? One would hope. Oh my. Let me what we got. Did I finish the fan art in time? Don't worry about it. I still want to see it once everything's all done. But yeah. Lagos has that DreamWorks smirk, yeah. So Lagos, Emissary of the End, will be departing from Io. And as he teleports, you would look back up to the sky, and the floating corpse of Cosma would also vanish with the sound of a seismic boom that will crash upon Io, echoing out into the calling card and the sounds of war echoing off of Io as the Lords of Shadow will press forward to bring back and restore their ancestral lands.